Okay, question 10. I'm going to use some colours here. So I've got y is equal to f of x. So that's this function here. So I've had an original function, and we're going to change that function because the question then says that I take my f of x and I'm going to multiply it by k and add a. So that's going to be the red function. I'm multiplying by k and adding a. So what are the values of k and a? Now, just a very quick tutorial to begin with. Don't forget, if it's next to the x, it affects the x. Everything else will affect the y. And next to the x, we do the opposite. So if it's 2x, we're going to half our x's. And everything outside of the x, so we just do as is. So if it's k is 2, we're timesing our y values by 2. If we're adding 1, we're going up the way 1. Okay? If that was x, take away 2, we're moving it to the left, we're moving it to the right. We're going into the positives. So next to the x, you're doing the opposite. Everything else you're doing kind of as it says on the tin. So let's make a wee graph. First of all, I think I'll have a look at my f of x over here. And I've got my x's and I've got my y's. Not a graph, sorry, a wee table. Okay, so what do I know then for? I really should put that in green. Sorry, just to make that really clear. What's going on? So I've got my f of x. And I've got some x and y values. Okay, so what do I know? I know I've got 0, 0. Okay. I know I've got 2, negative 1. And that's it. Those are my two values. For the other one, I've got f of x plus a multiplied by k. And I've got some x and y values here as well. So this one, I know I've got 0, 3. And I know I've got 2, 5. And I've actually, it's quite helpful, I've kept them kind of like by like, So the first thing to note is this seems to have gone up by 3, doesn't it? Yeah, going up by 3. So I'd be thinking to myself, right, this has been shifted up the way 3, so I think that A is going to be 3 to start off with. Okay? Because that is a plus 3. Makes sense, doesn't it? But then I'll look over here and say, well, wait, I've added 3 to that. It's not quite giving me the right answer, is it? That's a bit sticky. Now, what's happened there? Why am I not, add 3 arriving over here? Well, it's because of that k value, isn't it? So the k value is doing something else. Now, the k value wouldn't affect the 0 here, which is why it helps me just identify that a. So I'm maybe looking, thinking, right, well, I've multiplied it by something, then I'm adding on something. So I'm timesing it by something, and then I'm adding the 3. So if we work back the way, if I do 5, take away 3, that would give me 2. So it's like, well, how do I get from negative 1 to positive 2? Well, I must have times it by negative 2. So let's have a wee think. Let's just double check that. Negative 1 times negative 2 would give me 2. And then 2 plus 3 would give me 5. That seems sensible to me. So I'm going to then say that this is a negative 2. And it makes sense because it's been flipped. So definitely, I thought a negative was going to come my way. But it's not just been flipped. It's not a negative 1. It's not a straight flip. Otherwise, that number, wouldn't be so big. It's obviously been moved as well, So yeah, 3 and negative 2. Just a slightly kind of different way of asking that question. It's usually a little bit more straightforward than that. But yeah, I quite like that question. It does make you think a little bit. So let me just double check the marking scheme. Yeah, 3 and negative 2, not much going on. So remember, next to the x, you're doing the opposite, and it affects the x. Everything outside that bracket affects the y, and you're just doing as it says on the tin. Okay? So if I had 4 f of x take away 2, I would take these y values, times them by 4, take away 2. If I had 2x, I would take these x values and divide by 2. Okay, so a wee bit of thinking. Quite like that question.